to welcome each of you back to the Dang Right, a Melissa football podcast with Coach Nally. I'm your host, Coach Nally. I want to thank Mr. Kramen and the duo of Max and Shipp for putting on this podcast. Max and Shipp are like the duo of the musical group Outkast. They're so fresh and so clean. Max and Shipp are the greatest. Now on to our guest. Our guest today is somebody I look up to. One of the best coaches here at Melissa High School. Just in her few years of being here, she has developed and created such a great softball program here that our community and our school has been just so proud of. But more than that, she is an awesome person. Today's guest is the one and only Coach Cassie Crabtree. Welcome to the podcast, Coach Crabtree.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
Dang right. All right. Well, Coach, give us the epic journey of Cassandra Crabtree.
Well, I'm from Forney.
Dang right.
So grew up in Forney my whole life. So beating them last week was pretty great.
Dang right it was. Dang right it was.
But I grew up in Forney my whole life. Played every sport. Went on to play college ball at Southern Arkansas. Go Mule Riders.
Dang right. Dang right, dude.
And from then went back and actually coached at Forney for a couple years and was a head coach there. I actually got my first head job at Kaufman by Mr. Bob Wager. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah,
but,
heck yeah.
I was 22. He was probably crazy for hiring me at 22, but I just came off of playing college, so I don't really know what my players would say about me if I went back in. But then went on to Forney for a couple years, and then decided to go in the college world for a couple years, and went there, and then had some babies, and
dang right.
Came back to the area, and here I am.
Dang right. That's awesome. Well, you're in the state tournament.
Yeah.
So talk to us about your prep for the state tournament.
We're just trying to make sure that that we're at our best mentally and physically. Try not to wear them out too much, give them plenty of rest, make sure our arms are good to go, stay in our routine, and make sure that we are playing at our best. I felt like we've been playing good.
Dang right.
We've been playing good, but we haven't been playing our best. So that's always a good feeling going into the state tournament. You know how it is, peaks and valleys throughout the whole season.
Right.
So I feel like early in the playoffs we were a little bit grinding. I mean, it was a grind. It was fighting for our lives, and we've been on the uphill. So I think this week is going to be our week.
Dang right. I love it. All right, let me ask you this question. I probably already know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyways. But my wife watches 2020 and Dateline all the time about serial killers and people who kill their spouse all the time. She even listens to podcasts about it. Are you that person as well?
Oh, I'm so feeling her. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
Criminal Minds all the way.
So let me ask you this. If you are that, I'm going to be honest with you. So if something happens to me and it turns out to be cold, my wife did it. I mean, I'm telling you right now, Keith Morrison and Lester Holt have taught my wife how to kill people and get away with it. I'm just curious. I enjoy listening to the podcasts and stuff like that because they are interesting. But Criminal Minds, tell me about it. What's the appeal?
I don't really know. I've always been a scary movie, on the edge of my seat. I don't know. It's really weird, but I just love it. I don't know.
I'm with you. I just don't, it's just every time I turn the TV or I walk in the living room and the TV's on, my wife is watching Dateline or 2020 and she's taking notes. So I'm just curious, it's just, I'm like, what the heck are we doing?
Absolutely. And it's funny is my husband always says cause literally you wouldn't think this about me. Cause I'm a completely different person on the field than off. Right. So on the field, everybody's like, oh my gosh, she is
dang right.
in it,
dang right.
But then you get me off, I'm a big old chicken. I'm a literal chicken. I'm scared of my own shadow. If I'm at the gas pump, I'm getting out, looking around. And my husband and them are like, Cassie, like, stop watching those shows.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't. Like, I can't, you know? And, like, if my kids, they'll say, hey, can I go ride my bike down the road? I'm like, no, don't talk to strangers. If anybody tells you to get candy, you know, and he blames it on those shows, but I can't stop watching. I don't know.
But, you go back to what you're talking about, on the field. And I was talking to Coach Katie Stinton about this, but, just the overall, just the hate to lose piece,
Absolutely.
as a coach, everybody loves to win and whatnot. And I went on a tangent about, winning, but just that hate to lose piece. So like, a lot of people don't understand all the stuff that we put in as a coach and what we do as coaches. And then you get out there, on the playing field, and obviously you're not playing, but you're right there with your kids, and your emotions and their emotions are connected and tied together. And, one of the worst things is to see a kid fail, and whatnot. And so I commend you about how you go out there and coach. It's fun to watch, I'll be honest with you. So let me ask you this. You've been a coach for a while now. What got you into the profession?
It's been my entire life, like I knew probably when I was in high school, that's what I wanted to do. I actually, my mom sent me a picture a couple weeks ago, and I was coaching a little dribblers basketball team, so it's what I've always wanted to do. I never changed my mind. I coached those little teams. I've always coached. So going into college, I knew I was going to be a coach. I didn't have any other. Sports has been my life, and it's what I do. If I'm not coaching high school, I'm coaching select, or I'm giving lessons, or I'm doing something. So
right. That's awesome, man. The golly, that's awesome. Well, let me ask you this. What do you believe is the hardest thing to handle these days as a coach?
Oh, that's a good one. There's a couple. I would say for softball right now at the high school level, creating that culture, of a team, of everybody has a role, everybody is in it together, everybody has some piece to the puzzle, and you get in softball a lot of times the select, and they can go to a different team where they're always playing and they're always on the field, and then you come into high school and sometimes it's a different role.
Right.
And so making sure that, the kids are okay with that role, because you are going to have kids that don't play, and trying to make sure that you can create that culture where they do matter. They do, you might have a pinch runner role. You might, be the hype man role. You might have to come in for a pinch hit, and that's just as important as a starter.
Right.
And I think, that probably right now is the hardest, because they can go to select and it's just a hop of a team.
Right.
It's a hop of a team, and now I'm going to go play and this and that. So creating that culture of warriors and a team mentality is sometimes a little bit challenging.
Right. It was crazy that you say that, because last week, we had a bunch of speakers come in, and I had a senior that's graduating. Nathan had a joke and came in and he spoke, and he talked about a few things, but the one thing that he spoke about was outside noise. And he was like, it doesn't matter anything outside the building. And he's like, it doesn't matter from a community member. It doesn't matter social media wise. It doesn't matter if it's your parent. That noise doesn't matter. It's only the noise inside the room, inside the building that matters. And I think that's a big deal when you talk about building a team, and building that culture and that atmosphere of every one of those team members understanding that the voices in the building are the most important.
Absolutely.
So I think you're right on target with that.
Yeah, and there's so much social media, like nowadays, and people get a lot of different praises, and it's hard sometimes to, be happy for the success of others, especially in our sport, and just helping them understand that they have a piece too, and everybody's key, and your time will come. Your time will come.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. If you had to cross over and coach on the boys' side, what sport or sports would you want to coach, and why?
I mean, definitely baseball. Definitely baseball. I'm going there because I teach my softball swings that I teach is very similar. So there's really not much different. So I feel like it could definitely go to the baseball side and be just as successful.
You know, Coach, I actually coached softball for 1 year.
Nice.
Yeah, I coached softball 1 year. I was 23 or 24. I don't remember how old I was, but our head softball coach was an older man, and his assistant was still going to school. So they're like, "Hey, Nally, you're going to coach." Coach, I coach football, basketball, baseball, track, and softball. Okay, all this year. So, but make a long story short, our team was so good. We made it to the 5th round and got beat 1-0. We were the number 2 team, and the number 1 team in the state beat us.
Right.
But we had just an unbelievable pitcher. We had unbelievable hitting, blah, 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 blah. But if I had to cross over, Coach, it would be softball.
Yes, dang
it would
right,
be softball.
right?
Dang right, dang right. It is the most enjoyable, fun. You know, they're like, oh, it's fast paced, and it is fast paced. But and I don't know if anyone's ever done this, but I was like, I'm a young, dumb kid, and we had a really good pitcher, and I'm like, Stephanie, I can hit you. And she's like, no, you can't. I'm like, yeah, I can. And 3 swings. I mean, I missed every single time. People just don't understand.
No, it's hard.
It's on you quick.
Yep.
And you have a different level of respect, just overall for what those girls do. So, but mine definitely would be softball, just because the fact of, I think it takes a lot of talent to do that, you know. And then, you know, I mean, a lot of people haven't seen a rising fastball at you. And then, you know, I mean, not just that, when you see a changeup that's a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, to me, it's a little bit different. So,
that's awesome.
But all right, on to something different. Coach, I'm really like a different guy. I like to ask people questions that are kind of different. Coach, what's your top 3 movies of all time? All time, Coach. Top 3 movies of all time.
Oh my gosh.
Coach Crabtree, who is just swims in softball all the time. What is the top 3 movies of Crabtree's life?
Oh, let me think about this. You're going to laugh because I'm really not a movie person. You know, I do just watch softball and watch softball. Do softball, analyze softball. Okay, but my top 3 movies. Okay, so I'm going to go probably Hoosiers.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's one of my all-time. That is a good one. I'm going to go with you're going to laugh, but any of the Saw movies. Like,
God, I feel so bad for your husband. If something happens to Mr. Crabtree, it was Cassie Crabtree.
I love those movies. I swear that's what made me go into labor with Kagan, because I was like 9 months pregnant.
Oh my God.
And the Saw movie had just came out. So I was like, Cole, we're going. I'm huge pregnant. People were probably looking at me like,
this is a crazy lady.
Yes. So the Saw movies. And probably Remember the Titans.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Coach, I'm going to say Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I don't think I've ever seen
that.
Oh,
Coach, you're missing out. You're missing out. Any Ace Ventura.
Okay,
Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura.
Those.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a solid for me. And then I guess I need to pick like a sport movie. I just don't really watch a lot of sport. I like, you know, comedies and whatnot.
That's my husband. He always wants to watch it, and I can never make him through it because he's over there laughing, and I'm like, he loves them though.
I like any Will Ferrell movie too. Like I like the other guys. I like any Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah, you definitely sound like Cole. You do.
I like all those movies. All right, Coach. I've met, you know, in my 21 years of coaching, I've met a lot of famous athletes, but like in my life, I have met a lot of famous athletes and celebrities. And for the most part, Coach, I don't think, you know, any of them are any better than me, you know, I mean, but I've been starstruck 3 times in my life. Once with Carrie, the Texas Tornado Von Erich, the other with Bob Costas, and finally, last summer with Kat Osterman.
Oh.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you this story real quick. So, first off, Bob Costas is a little bitty guy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, Coach, last summer she was speaking. It might have been last summer or 2 summers ago. She was speaking at coaching school. Mm-hmm. And I saw her, and Coach, I just, it's Kat. You gotta,
Yeah,
in my opinion, Coach, she's the GOAT. Like
absolutely.
so I went up to her, and she had a couple guys around her and whatnot, and I went up to her and I stuck out my hand and I said, "Hello, my name's Matt Nally." And Coach, before she could reach and grab my hand, I turned and walked away.
What?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
were
I was
like,
so starstruck. I was just like, "Oh my gosh, guys,
okay, listen. So she's Kagan's coach in the summer.
are you serious?"
So I'm definitely gonna
Oh
go
my
up
gosh,
to
I'm
her.
so
I'm gonna have
embarrassed.
to mention this.
I'm so embarrassed.
I know.
I'm sure she went and told hey guys, this loser came up to me. Coach, we were on the sidewalk, and I was just like, "It's her.
That's
Hello,
great.
my name's Matt Nally." And turned and walked away.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have Kagan mention it this summer. It's gonna be great.
Well, I mean, have you ever been starstruck, or has anybody ever been that you would like show up? Like if George Strait walked up to my wife would faint.
Yeah.
Is there anybody like that for you?
That's a hard question.
Mm.
I never have. Like Cole, my husband always says, like, this is so bad, but like I live in my own world. Like
Dang right.
I live in my own world where my feet are. If I'm walking in the airport, I just am minding my own business. And he'll be like, hey, there's so and so, and it's like a professional athlete. I'm like, what? He is like can pick out anybody. Me, I don't know. Like I'm not good with that. I'm just living in my life, minding my own business, trying to be better every day.
Dang right.
And
That's awesome, though. That's the best way to put it, or the best way to live. All right, Coach. So you're going to Austin this weekend. Coach, what are you the most excited about?
Oh man, there's so much. I mean, it has been such a journey of ups and downs, and you finally make it.
Right,
I
right.
laugh because I've been in the regional finals 3 times and I was 0 for 3. So I was like, you talk about that earlier of having to send all the pictures in and do all this. It's
Yeah,
funny because
yeah.
on the one that I sent in, I didn't put like half of the stuff I was supposed to. I just submit, and then they came back after we won against 40, and they're like, "Hey, you're missing this." I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
great."
Yes. Yes.
But you work so hard, and you know that you can do it. But you know how hard it is to get
Right,
there.
right.
It doesn't matter if you're number 1 that year, if you're number 5, if you're number 10. I mean, a lot of things have to align, and so for that to happen, and the hard work and what we've been through, it's just been amazing. But just getting to go up there and our kids experience it and get to play at UT and,
Right,
and
that's
be one of
awesome.
the 4 teams left.
Right,
and
that's
and
awesome.
have a
Right.
chance,
Right.
have a chance to go out there and showcase our skills and who we are and what we're about, and show them that we can fight. That's what I'm pretty excited about. It's just to showcase what we actually have.
That's right. That's right. I was telling you earlier, we would get to the 4th round, and you were talking about sending in pictures and whatnot. And I've been in the 4th round a few times, and the first few times you do it and you lose, and you're like, "I'm never doing this again." And then you make it to the 4th round again, and they're like, "We need all this stuff," and you're like, "Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Sorry for your luck."
Yes.
But I 100% get it. Well, let me ask you this: what are you nervous about? Are you nervous about anything?
It's funny because I was just talking to Mo and my husband earlier. I'm not nervous. I'm not right now. Might ask me again on Friday, but I feel like I was a little bit more nervous last week than I am this week.
Yeah.
I feel like our girls are ready. I feel like they've shown fight. I feel like they're ready. I feel like they're prepared. And that's really all I can do, make sure that they're ready. They believe. It's funny because I've been sending them stuff for the last 3 weeks. I don't know if you've heard the Pitbull song, "I Believe That We Will Win."
Yeah, heck yeah,
That's
heck yeah.
that's what we've been going on for about 2 weeks now, and they're getting tired of me sending it probably. But I mean, that's how I feel. I feel like, well, I believe that we're gonna win, and
Right.
and I feel like they're ready, and whatever happens, and we've done a great job.
Right.
And
Right. Yeah, but Coach, I'm going to tell you this: watching your team play, you have a very confident team and a team that plays together. But Coach, that comes from leadership. That comes from you, and you're a very confident person in your team.
right.
And I think that's why you guys will win.
There you go. There you go.
I'm super excited for that. All right, Coach, you have 2 kiddos. What are the challenges of coaching your own kid?
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, Coach.
It's very challenging. You know, it's definitely something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. Definitely memories that I'll always have, always cherish. You know, every time she comes around and I give her a high five on a home run, it's something that 90% of the people don't get.
Absolutely.
Hugging after that 40 win, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just something that you'll never forget.
Right.
But it's definitely hard. You know,
Right.
it's definitely hard on her, definitely hard on me. I'm harder on her because of it, you know.
Right.
But, you know, it's like anything else, you know, and I've told her this from a young age. I mean, you're always going to have challenges,
Right.
you know, and it's how you face them and, you know, what you do with it and we move on, you know.
Right.
I mean, we're going to have the noise and the
Right.
talk and the external
Right.
factors, but it is what it is.
Right.
You know, we'll take the good over the bad any day.
Absolutely. Dang, I wish I had your advice about 5-10 years ago. Golly, that's awesome, the way to put it. You know, I firmly believe this. I firmly believe this. And we talk about coaching and the time away, and you know, there's sometimes people talk about not getting paid enough, and you know, the 120-hour weeks, and
Right.
blah blah blah, and all that stuff. And they talk about, you know, spouses, and what I believe the hardest thing in coaching is to be a coach's kid.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I think you're judged differently. I think that everything, you know, you're on in a microscope, nonstop, and sometimes it's hard just to be a kid, you know. And you know, there's some times where, you know, I feel like I have 3 sons, but I have a son that's in the high school program. I got a son that's coming into the high school program, but sometimes you feel like you can't cheer for him. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And things like that. So I mean, it's really tough, in my opinion, to be a coach's kid. But you said something about, you know, you coach them harder, and man, Coach, I was that way for a long time, and then my oldest son is kind of like my wife, kind of like, you know, a hippie, like, well, leave me alone. Now, my middle boy is a little bit different. Middle boy is a little bit more competitive and things like
Right.
that. But I just stopped coaching my older boy. I was just like, hey, you just go be coached by other people.
Yeah.
I was out of control, Coach. I
Right.
really was out of control with him. But it is really, really difficult not to coach him hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
know?
And then you want to take out, you're mad at somebody else, so you just take
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. You know, and I was talking to Coach Pennington about this. You know, he was being coached by his dad, and one of his stories was Todd had fumbled it. You know, he fumbled in practice, and Coach Pennington like grabbed him and threw him down, and you know,
Yes.
and said, "Go get it," and things like that. But because you don't want him to make a mistake, you know,
No.
and whatnot. But
I always tell Kagan, I said, you know what, like, you're gonna go to UT and it's gonna be way easier.
That's awesome, though, right? That's awesome.
You're gonna be fully prepared, but I'm getting better. You know, I'm definitely getting better. I seek out a lot of advice, and it was funny because I was actually talking to Pennington the other day in PE, and he was giving me all his advice. So
I'm going to tell you what, Brady Pennington is salt of the earth.
yes,
He's gold,
he was giving me a lot of good advice.
Man, he is gold. Now his boy is something else. Well, let me ask you this: why do you coach?
Oh man, I coach for a lot of different reasons, but you know, I coach to create, you know, my favorite word is warriors, just fighters, you know, to create warriors and fighters that when they leave, they're going to make real world. They're
Right.
going to make it in life, and the world is hard.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's hard.
Right.
And, you know, whether it's like losing a job or death in the family, or, you know, it's hard.
Right.
And
right.
if you're not a fighter and you're not one that's going to dig deep, life will eat you up.
No doubt. No doubt.
And that's my biggest, you know, is to create players and people who are going to fight, you know, who are
Right.
going to take a challenge and run with it, who are going
Right.
to take the road less traveled. You know, it's so hard, especially in today's age, to get caught up in the social media or the likes or who cares about likes?
Right.
You know, I
Right.
mean, go take on the world and live your dream and be somebody.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I think that's why I coach is more of creating the tough kids,
Right.
you know, tough people. And I think that's what we have to have in life.
Well, you know, what's crazy that you say that is because of the fact of, you know, I think that's a very noble thing, just because of the fact of everyone says it. You know, like, this is a soft generation, and you
Yeah.
know, these kids aren't tough. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, and whatnot. And this is, I mean, Coach, I'm not going to date you, but I'm 43 years old. I don't think about the touchdowns that I scored or the
Right.
buckets that I scored or the hits that I got or whatever
Right.
the case may be. I think about those moments in the locker room with my buddies. I think about the practices, those tough times,
Right.
and whatnot. And I think about the lessons that the coaches have taught me throughout my life. I don't think about first team all district
Right.
and things
Exactly.
like that. You know, I'm really into that fact of I firmly believe that sports is a platform to teach what you're saying
Yep.
about being tough, being tough. Because I
Right.
mean, adversity is in sports all the time.
Right.
All the time. I don't care what anyone says. You could be winning 50-0, or you could be losing 2-1.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And it's adversity, and you've got to strike, and you got to rise to the occasion.
Right.
In everything that you do. So once again, kudos to Coach Crabtree, because I think that's a big deal in what you're trying to teach and us coaches are trying to teach. All right, Coach, I kind of know the answer to this question, and I'm kind of scared to answer. I'm kind of scared to ask it. But Coach, if you were a character in a movie,
Oh,
who would you pick and
Lord.
why? Oh Lordy, I'm a little nervous for this one. I'll be honest with you.
I'm not gonna do like a murder, okay? I promise. Okay, if I was a character in a movie, who would it be?
If she says Saul, guys,
Yeah.
I'm out. The podcast will be over.
Maybe I would be like one of the characters in Criminal Minds that actually solves the cases. That solves the cases. Yes. That would probably be
Oh my
my
God.
first. Like
Dang right. Dang
Jen
right.
from Criminal Minds, that she has a pretty cool job. So it would either be her or maybe like the coach in Hoosiers or a coach that gets to like go win it all, you
Dang
know,
right. Dang right.
that comes from behind, the underdog.
Dang right.
You know, I keep envisioning that for us on Saturday, right? Like,
Dang right.
I'm gonna be that coach
Dang
that
right.
we win it all, right?
Dang right. That's awesome. That's awesome. For me, Coach, it's pretty simple. I'm Batman. So I would be Batman in a heartbeat.
That's a good one.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this question. I heard you wrote a book.
Yeah.
So let's hear about this book.
Well, I've kind of heard a couple. You know, I'm big on the mental side. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
big on like I feel like you've got to do it daily. You know, you
Mhm.
wake up, you do some mental prep, and you know, my child definitely likes to push me to the limit sometimes
right.
with
I bet she does,
the
right.
mental side, which all kids do. You know, but I think 90% of it is mental. You know, if you
Mhm.
get your mind right, then
Dang right.
things are just gonna fall into place. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna. It's about routine, you know, waking up, getting your mind right, reading some mental stuff. Well, what do you do in a day? You know, like I think a lot of our kids get, you know, if you had them write a daily schedule out of every single hour, like what would that hour look like?
Right.
You know,
Right.
TikTok, Facebook,
Right.
4 to 5 hours a day, you know,
Right.
that's wasted. So
Right.
I basically just wrote it to where it gives like a daily mental, you know, advice page. What can we do mentally? How do we get better mentally today? Then it has a daily schedule. Then it has goals. What are we gonna do today? How are we gonna get better? Because our thing is we got to get better daily.
Dang
It
right.
can't be the same.
Dang
So
right. I'm gonna have to get this book. Is it on Amazon?
yeah, I think it is.
What?
It's a 5 week long. 5 weeks.
What? Cassie Crabtree, author
Oh.
on Amazon, not just bad to the bone softball coach, but author. Holy
Oh,
moly, man.
man.
What's the name of the book?
Well, there's a couple. I think one of
Couple books? Dang
Yeah,
right.
it's like the chronicles of, mental, getting your mind right and all that.
Dang
I'll have to
right.
send them to you.
Dang right. That pumps me up, man. I'm so excited. Well, I want to thank Coach Cassie Crabtree for spending some time with us today on the podcast. Coach Crabtree, is there anything you would like to add or any final thoughts you'd like to share with the listeners before we conclude?
No, I do want to thank our Melissa community. They have been freaking awesome.
Yeah,
You
they
know, I
have,
mean,
yeah.
they have been awesome. We've I guess had standing room only on
Right.
every game, and they've just been like amazing. We couldn't ask for better fans. They've brought it. Our fans have been electric.
Right.
So hopefully everybody can come out on Friday and we can pack the stands.
Dang right. And Saturday, because it's going to happen.
Yes, that's right.
Well, thank you for listening to the Dang Right podcast with Coach Nally. I want to thank our guest, Coach Crabtree, and thank again to Mr. Kramen and his students for putting together this podcast. And have a great week, and it's always a great day to be a Cardinal.